Yo, bro, why he standing like that in this picture, bro? They gotta be exaggerating this joint right here, man. He look real zesty right here. Hey, what's good? It's Governor Jay back presenting facts over fiction to give you the knowledge you've been missing. Welcome to the channel. Put your emotions to the side, hit that like and subscribe. Um, so today, man, I gotta talk about this Diddy case, man. Gotta talk about this Diddy case because I've been following this Diddy case since, you know, before it was a case. You know what I'm saying? Since they smeared him with the whole Cassie video in the hotel, in that hotel hallway when he's beating up on her and all that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I've been following this since back then, right? And at that time, there was no case. It was just, hey, look at this video of Diddy beating up Cassie from 8 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Just real random, you know what I mean? So since then, I've been keeping up with it. And, now we done got to the conclusion of the case. We know what his fate is. And, I just got a few things I need to say about this for the brothers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, this channel is about brotherhood of Black Americans, non-immigrant men, but specifically straight men, right? Heterosexuals. And for what we now know about Diddy, is that it's official. We can confirm that that brother is not heterosexual. He is he's something else. We don't know what he is. I mean, he's bisexual at the very least. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I'm talking about this is because for years, he presented as a straight heterosexual man, and we got a lot of these down low brothers out here. You know what I'm saying? That's into some real weird, freaky stuff, and they present like they're straight. Of course they go get married, have kids, the whole 9 yards, but they really be into some real weird type of sexual activities. And Diddy constitutes that, and we got to talk about it because I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some dudes like that that are going to subscribe to this channel and want to consume some of this content, but in reality, they struggle with their sexuality, right? So, and then of course that falls back on the real straight brothers, right? That these type of dudes, they always got to bring that up and throw that in front of the straight brothers' faces, like, yeah, you niggas is just weird. You niggas is really this, that, and the third, because you could point to a few weirdos right there on on the fringes and on the outskirts. So, well, I want to talk about this Diddy case, man, because in my honest opinion, man, he got railroaded. It could have been a lot worse. Of course, he could have got roofed. They could have hit him with the whole 11 years. I think the prosecution wanted to give him 11 years. Um, and of course, his defense team, they were arguing for time served, which I thought would have been, legitimate. I think they should have gave him bail, when they dropped all them crazy charges on him, all the RICO cases, and the RICO charges, and all the heavy hitting charges. I thought they should have gave him bail then. And this was some months ago. I think this was back in like May, right? He had already been sitting in jail for almost a year at that point. I'm like, yeah, they might as well let him go, because all they got him for is they ended up finding him guilty of some Mann Act shit, right? Which is garbage, right? The Mann Act, straight garbage. Garbage charges that they made up just to target black men. But they got him on 2 counts of the Mann Act for transporting people, not minors. No minors were involved. Transporting people for the purposes of prostitution. People do this all the time. You know what I'm saying? They might as well bring charges against these airlines and the bus companies that transport these prostitutes from city to city when they do their little tours. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going on forever. And Diddy ain't the only one doing it. If you want to target powerful people, come on now. I mean, Diddy, that's the only one you want to go after? Like, are we serious here? We can't be serious here. You know what I'm saying? All these dudes be engaging with prostitutes and paying for them and flying them out and all type of weirdo stuff. Like, so that's why That's why I'm not cool with how this case turned out, because of course they got to find a black man to be the face of this type of degeneracy, when in reality this type of degeneracy has been going on for decades, fucking centuries, you know what I'm saying? And mostly by white men, and all different kinds of men, but mostly white men. Uh, but of course, they always got to find a black man to be the scapegoat. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why I gotta talk about it, regardless of whatever Diddy's sexuality is and whatever kind of freaky stuff he be into in the bedroom and whatnot, man. That's neither here nor there. The fact is that this brother got railroaded. You know what I'm saying? And if he can get railroaded, and he was a billionaire, we don't know if he's a billionaire anymore, but what do you think would happen to you regular brothers out here? You know what I'm saying? The regular brothers out here that's just normal 9 to 5 dudes, that, need to get your rocks off from time to time, and you might go hit up some type of escort services. Most of these women out here prostituting themselves anyway when they tell you that you got to pay them this amount of money to talk to them, and you slide in their DMs and they talking about what they bills and all this dumb stuff that they be talking, and you got to give them some money to go on a date or meet up with them. All these chicks is damn near prostitutes now. They all engage in some form of prostitution. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear that. They try to find other ways to frame it. They'll call it sex work. They'll call it escort. They'll call it all kind of different stuff, man. Bottle girls, surf, whatever. They all prostitutes. So this is what I'm saying, brothers. Y'all gotta be on the lookout, man, because at any time these women will, recant their consent, basically, right? They, whatever you guys do, they'll consent to it at the time. And if it's some old freaky, weird stuff like Diddy's into, hey, they might be freaky and weird they damn self. A lot of them are. But the problem is afterward, when reality sets in, you know what I'm saying? That conscience might get to him. And then it's like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did this with that guy. And then he left me and he just went and got another girl. And now he doesn't give a F about me. So now I think it was grape, okay, for better, for lack of better terms, right? Now they say it's grape, even though they consented to it. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, Diddy's main issue, I don't even think Diddy's main issue was, the freaky sex and all that, right? Because, I mean, honestly, none of that stuff he did was illegal. He wasn't engaged with no minors. And, it was never established that he forced anybody to do anything. Yeah, they charged him with that because, of course, they trump up charges against black American men, but he was found not guilty of that. So, I mean, if it was that serious, if it was serious, they would have found him guilty of that, right? This is what I'm trying to say. And they couldn't. So that wasn't his main problem. If you want to know what Diddy's main problem is, this goes back to my last 2 previous live streams. Diddy's main problem was the drugs. All right. Now hear me out, man. He had a serious drug issue, allegedly, right? Allegedly, it's from what we know, Diddy allegedly he used Percocet, ecstasy, ketamine, cocaine, 2C, right? He was messing with the 2C, man. Come on, man. And I believe it was something else, right? It's slipping my mind right now. I didn't make notes for this, man. I'm freestyling this right now, but I did look this up. And so allegedly he had those drug issues, and you guys got to remember, if you remember when the video first got released of him beating up Cassie in the hotel lobby or in the hotel hallway or whatever, when that first came out, if you remember, he went to Bali. He went to Indonesia, I believe, and he was, kicking it with Russell Simmons for a little bit, probably trying to get some game from Russell because he knew some charges was coming his way. And, he went out there, and while he was out there, he made that video when he was, apologizing and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? If you guys remember that, he was almost crying, basically. And the issue was he should have stayed there, right? He should have stayed there. You know what I mean? He should have never came back. He should have just stayed over there. He got almost $1 billion. He would have been cool. The issue for him was that he needed those drugs. he couldn't stay over there because he couldn't get those drugs over there. You know what I'm saying? And if he could, it was only like, a certain kind of quality, a certain amount. He couldn't get 2C over there. I'll tell you that much. He couldn't get that. Probably couldn't get all the type of coke he likes. Oh yeah, weed. I forgot to mention the marijuana. That was a given, right? That was a given. I forgot to mention marijuana, but that was a given. He probably couldn't get the marijuana neither, right? Because unfortunately, with the marijuana, when you smoke marijuana and all that, it leaves a scent where it's not as discreet as all these other drugs, as the pills and the powder and the drugs that you don't smoke. You know what I'm saying? It's not as discreet, and people can smell that stuff. So he couldn't get that over there, man. I mean, if you guys don't know, man, Indonesia is very, 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 very strict with drug use, and they've been known to give people life sentences for drugs or whatever, or importing drugs or having a certain amount of drugs. You get life over there. You know what I mean? Potentially the death sentence in Indonesia for drug possession, and you know what I mean. So for Diddy, that's why he couldn't stay over there. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Russell probably told him, listen, man, just stay here. You got to kick them habits, man. We'll get you into the yoga and, you know what I mean? We can set you up with a business. You can have a hotel like me. Whatever Russell did, Diddy could have did the same thing. Diddy wanted those drugs. All right. And that was his main downfall. You know what I'm saying? That was his main downfall, because a prostitution charge or whatever. I mean, come on, man. Guys get hit with that all the time. You know what I'm saying? And for a billionaire like Diddy, that really wasn't nothing but a smear, and it's a smear to his reputation. All right. His reputation's destroyed. He still have his finances. He'll still have his name and some kind of influence, and he'll still be able to have his yes men around him. Although his yes men are not really good for him, he needs somebody to tell him, like, listen, bro, yeah, we know you got power. We know you're Diddy, Puffy, whatever. But you can't do these things, nigga. You're still a nigger at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? You're still a nigga. So, unfortunately for Diddy, he had to come back because he had that drug problem. Allegedly, from what he said in his own testimony the other day, he said, this has probably been the longest he's ever been clean since maybe he was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Or, a young teenager potentially. Like, this time he's sitting in jail has been the longest he's been sober. And it's unfortunate, man, that it came down like this, man. I think it's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Because the precedent being set here, for him to get 50 months for some kind of antiquated prostitution charge, man, is bad for brothers out here. Because like I said, the way these women moving nowadays, they all acting as prostitutes. They all some kind of semi prostitute. And at any time when you move on from them and you go get another, whatever, a better version or whatever the case is, they can become bitter, and then they can recant consent and act like, hey, yeah, I was forced to do it, or I did it under distress. You know what I'm saying? And then that allegation alone is enough to smear a man, or smear a black man for sure. You know what I'm saying? It's enough to smear a black man and ruin his reputation forever. So this is unfortunate, and I know sometimes people don't understand why this case came up. People got to remember that Diddy had that civil lawsuit against the liquor company that he did business with Ciroc and De Leon, right? And the company was called Diageo. You know what I'm saying? It's a company that's led by a lot of like Fortune 500 companies. I believe Vanguard might be one of the owners. It's like Vanguard, BlackRock. These companies that we keep hearing over and over again that basically run this world and the country. They made a conglomerate, and it's Diageo, and that's who Diddy sued for racial discrimination, basically because they weren't promoting mostly De Leon the way he wanted them to, and Ciroc as well, because they marketed Ciroc as an urban type of liquor when Diddy really wanted it to just be a mainstream marketing plan, similar to how they do with Casamigos, right? Which I believe George Clooney is the owner of, right? Casamigos, and there's another tequila brand that they also own that they marketed better than the De Leon. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, Diddy won that case. They came to a settlement, non-disclosed amount of money, and Diddy sold. He gave up his ownership partnership or whatever with De Leon and Ciroc. You know what I mean? He walked away with a nice amount of change. And this was back in like January, I believe. You know what I mean? January of 2024, February 2024, right around that time. And if you remember, all right, if you remember, April, May 2024 is when the video with him and Cassie got released. All right, so 2 months later, you know what I'm saying? They said, "Oh, this nigga think he gonna get away with this. He's not getting away with this. He's going to jail." Them companies came together. I don't care what you want to call them. We all know that they were not black-owned companies. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have some people talk about, well, it was the small hats, or you know what I'm saying? It wasn't the Christian, it was the small hat. I don't want to hear none of that stuff, man. It was all of them partnered together, man. If I'm not mistaken, the chairman or one of the heads of Diageo at the time was a Hispanic dude. You know what I'm saying? It was a Hispanic dude at the time. So I'm not really trying to hear about who did what to who. We just know that Diddy won a big case. He got paid. You know what I'm saying? He walked away as victorious, and then they came back for him a couple months later with the smear and slander campaign, and ultimately he got hit up with some kind of prostitution charge. Like, this is garbage. It's all garbage. Like, my whole thing was I wanted to see if they made it a RICO case, right? They made a RICO case, but he's the sole defendant, which is always garbage when they make a RICO case and they make a black man the sole defendant with no co-defendants. That doesn't make any sense. But you know, they've been able to work that around somehow. That one man can be a criminal enterprise by his damn self. Okay, like it doesn't make sense, but this is what they've done. I mean, that's the precedent that was set, almost 30 years ago, and it wasn't even against a black man from what I researched, but they figured out a way to do that, man, and they got him, man. They got him. Now, I was watching to see if they were going to evolve this case to include certain unalivements that have been always tied to Diddy and that have always been speculated that Diddy has something to do with. You know what I'm saying? Most notably, his one of his ex-wives, I believe it was his ex-wife Kim Porter, right, and the mother of like four of his kids, if I'm not mistaken. She passed unexpectedly some years ago, and it's always been speculated that Diddy has something to do with it. Allegedly, she was supposed to come out with some to kind of tell-all book, and yeah, somehow she passed unexpectedly, right? Another person that I figured they would bring into was the Tupac unalivement, right? Because from what people like Keefe D have stated on record in his snitch files is that Diddy was the mastermind of that. Diddy put the money up. He put money on Tupac's head. Them dudes went out and did what they did and ultimately never got paid, right? They never even got paid for it. But, Keefe D been ratting for years. He's in jail. He's sick. He's trying to get out of jail now. And he's a dummy too, because he was cool until he started jumping on these podcasts and talking all this stuff like he was, capo, you know what I mean, king of the ring or something. They went and got him, locked his ass up. He's ratting. Now, if they would have brought Tupac into this and Kim Porter and whatever other unalivements that they might have been able to somewhat bring, string him into, then I wouldn't be making this video. I wouldn't be making this live stream about how, this is an injustice and this is a, you know, malpractice or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? They then took this application of the law too far. Because in that case, in that scenario, it's like, hey, man, these rumors have been around for years. Now we done settled it. This is what it is. But they didn't even bring up Tupac. They didn't bring up Kim Porter. Like, this was all about freak offs, right? These weird sex parties that he had. You know what I'm saying? And that was it. Like, him bringing in some escorts and prostitutes for these freak offs. This is what the whole case was about. When I seen that, I said, "Oh, this is garbage, bro. This is trash." Like, okay. And then they dropped the crazy charges. I said, "Oh yeah, they're gonna have to let him out. They're gonna have to give him bail, something." And they still wouldn't do it. So I'm like, damn. So they, what I mean, this is crazy, man. I was trying to look into the judge he had. I don't know where this judge is from. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's Indian or something. I don't know if he's Indian. Is he Pakistani? He's a weird judge, man, that some judge that Biden appointed, right? Some judge Biden appointed back in 2022. So, he's a fresh face to the circuit court. And I guess he want to make a name for himself. You know what I'm saying? I guess, This is his way to climb the Democrat political ladder. Let's go throw this black man under the bus, and in the future, you know, he'll elevate higher and higher up that political ladder. Don't be surprised if we see him as a vice president candidate or something like that in the near future, right? I forget his name, but yeah, he's not even a white dude. We got to start watching out for these tether and these immigrant judges, man. These immigrant judges, man, they be doing us the worst, man. They be doing us the worst, man. So black men, look out. Be wary of these immigrant judges, bro. Like you better off getting a white judge at this point, a white judge or a black so-called FBA whatever non-immigrant judge, maybe, you know what I'm saying? But because these immigrant judges are doing us dirty, bro. They be doing us dirty out here, man. And it's all about, sucking up to the white supremacist and showing that they're on their side. And and we the ops. We the ops. So they the ops. All right. So this is what we gotta know, man. So yeah, man. So this Diddy case, man, it's not looking good for brothers out here. I'm gonna put it like this, man. If you in a freaky type of sex and all that, if you into all that freaky type of stuff, it don't gotta be as freaky as Diddy shit, because Diddy was really on some off the wall stuff, in my opinion. Nothing illegal, but still just real weird. Like, if you into that, man, I'm telling you, man, leave these American women alone. Get a passport and go fly and go abroad, man. You can do all the freaky shit imaginable that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Go to certain countries. I'm not going to even say these countries, right? Because I don't want to slander these countries or whatever, but there's certain countries you can go to where prostitution is legal, right? So this whole prostitution charge Diddy got charged with and found guilty of, it wouldn't even exist. It don't even exist in these countries I'm talking about, right? Prostitution's legal, you know what I'm saying? Especially as long as you're dealing with of age women, no minors, no little kids and all that. You go over there and have all the fantasy, freaky, crazy porno style sex you want, man. Over there. Don't do it with these American women, man. It's a wrap. It's a wrap, bro. I'm telling you, it's a wrap. If this is what you into. And then for the square dudes or whatever, for the square guys, 9 to 5 dudes who are just single, sometimes you trying to, you just trying to get your rocks off. Same thing for you. You don't got to be into some crazy, freaky, off the wall stuff like Diddy, man. You could just be into vanilla sex or whatever. If that's what you into, take your trips and go to these other countries where prostitution is legal, right? You know what I mean? Where it's already established it's legal and you can go do that and come on back and then, save up for your next trip instead of paying. And that'd be cheaper, in my opinion, than paying these women over here these exorbitant amount of money and dollars that they be asking for over here. Like, this shit is getting crazy over here and they don't even be worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how you could end up, man. You could end up looking like Diddy, man. You can end up like Diddy, man. Diddy was a billionaire. Look how he got done. You ain't got 10 grand to your name. What you think they gonna do to you? All right, you do got 10 grand. You ain't got 50 grand. You ain't got 100 grand in your name. What you think they gonna do to you? When you get done dealing with a certain chick and she's bitter now and all that, because now they done took away all her privileges. She can't fall back in no safety net and go get, a government check after you stop paying her. Now all of a sudden you violated her 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 years ago, right? You see what they did to Bill Cosby. You see what I'm saying? You see how they did Bill Cosby, man. Did y'all see the chick? Did y'all see the chick that was involved with that Bill Cosby case? Did you see what she looked like, man? You really think Bill Cosby had to violate her? For real, multiple times at that, right? Because Bill Cosby had women, he had all them women, and they was talking about how he violated and raped them multiple times. The one chick was saying he violated her all over the country because he was flying her out to all these different cities, and they was meeting up, and every time he met up with her, he raped her. And then he would fly her back, and then she would come back and go fly back and go get with him again. Come on now, what sense did that make? But you niggas just went with it, man. It's a lot of you brothers that just go with that stuff. And it's like, man, hey, well, he deserved to be in jail because the media says so. Not really, bro. Not really. Because if it happened to you, you would be crying. Because you ain't got the money. You ain't got the defense that Bill Cosby and Diddy got. You don't got it. You would be assed out. So what you need to do start sticking with your brothers and being like, yo, we got a brotherhood over here. We ain't going for that shit. We need more proof. We need more proof. And if the proof ain't really there, then nah, man, we can't co-sign this, man. You can't be co-signing this, bro. You can't co-sign this, man. This ain't right, man. Worst case scenario, Diddy should have got time served, and that's it. I mean, they ended up giving him 50 months, right? Which is about 4 years. He's already been sitting for about a year and a half. Then I think he's got 5 years of some kind of supervised release. So they're like a $500,000 fine, among some other minor, things. But that 5 year supervised release is really what's going to hurt him, because I don't know if he's going to be able to really travel like I'm talking about. Will he be able to go, down such and such and go have his little sex party? I don't know, because they might not let him out the country. And then what are you going to do? Then he's going to be subjected to this crap over here where he might get hit up and he might get he might VOP, he might get a VOP, man. He might violate or whatever. Then they're going to throw him back in jail because, oh, well, he hired this escort, or, or he got with this female rapper, this new female rapper, and now the old female rapper is salty that he ain't messing with her no more, and he got a new joint. So now the old, the Young Miamis or whatever, now she's talking shit. Now she's saying she was forced to do A, B, and C now, right? I said from the jump, when this case came out and they was talking about a RICO case and, trafficking and all that stuff, I was like, yo, why isn't Cassie being charged as well? Cassie should be a co-defendant. I get it. Yeah, he beat her up in that hallway, but that's not really part of this. That's not part of this case. All that was, a manipulation tactic to sway public opinion. That's all that was. That had nothing to do with this case. I said, yo, if Diddy's going down and it's a RICO case, where are his co-defendants? Cassie needs to be locked up too. Now, we done seen all these interviews with these prostitutes, these male prostitutes that get on Vlad and Art of Dialogue and Cam Capone or whatever other little interview platform on YouTube. They all say, yeah, Cassie was the one that was calling me. Cassie was the one that paid me. Cassie was the one that requested me to do A, B, and C to her. Yeah, she enjoyed it. They all say the same thing. What, they all lying? They not all lying for Diddy. Who cares? Diddy's already in jail. There's no reason to lie for Diddy. This is really what it was. Cassie was involved. She was his right-hand man. She's, you know what I'm saying? She's the co-defendant. She's supposed to be locked up too. I don't want to hear about her being pregnant and all that. You know what I mean? Black women have been pregnant in jail. Come on now. She's supposed to go to jail too. That's the reality of the situation. I don't care what you feel. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be brothers on this channel anyway. If I got some old feminist women on here, get up out of here. This ain't for you. You know what I mean? The truth of the matter is Cassie should be locked up too. If Diddy gonna be locked up, she should be locked up too. Maybe even Young Miami, whoever else was out there that was out there finding these sex workers or whatever for these freak offs and helping him do all this, all of them should be in jail, not just Diddy. That's why this is an injustice. You know what I'm saying? This is an injustice. This ain't right. And brothers, you need to be on your P's and Q's out here dealing with these American women, man. They're not really worth it at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? They ain't worth it. You know what I mean? And he thought he was smart. He thought he was smart by blackmailing and having them cameras set up in his house and having all this video. The video shows that, yeah, it wasn't none of this stuff forced. Everything was consensual. That's what the videos show. All the videos that they went and raided all his houses for, and they found all them hidden cameras and all that, that was to protect himself. He thought he was smart, but he's still a nigga at the end of the day. You can't do what them white boys do, because he learned this stuff from them white boys. Trust me, he learned this from Clive Davis and, these other kind of dudes, man. Maybe even the gay dude who got locked up with the Abercrombie and Finch. Who remembers the CEO? Maybe he wasn't the CEO. I can't remember what his title was with Abercrombie and Finch. The gay old man got locked up at around the same time Diddy did, but they gave him bail. You don't hear about his case no more. And apparently he was out there running through all these gay men. You know what I'm saying? He was running through all the male models. He had his way with all the male models. You don't even hear about his case no more. All you hear about is Diddy. Diddy, Diddy, because the black man got to be the face of criminality in the United States, no matter what, no matter how many white men go out here committing mass shootings, all these different grapes and violations out here, all the drugs being trafficked and everything. Nah, they got to find a black man, preferably a black American man, to be the face of that criminality. And that's what they did with Diddy, man. That's exactly what they did with Diddy. And it's unfortunate. And a lot of you brothers ain't never going to wake up to it until you find yourself in a situation similar and you ain't got the backing that Diddy got. You ain't got the backing Bill Cosby got. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got the backing that even I don't want to say R. Kelly, because R. Kelly, R. Kelly was guilty. You feel me? But they still kind of roofed him. They still gave him way too much time, and they gave him one of them one-man RICO cases where they didn't hold nobody else accountable in R. Kelly's case. Where R. Kelly didn't do that shit by himself. Ain't R. Kelly like illiterate and all that? He can't read and write and all that type of stuff, man. But he's able to do all this stuff. He's able to coordinate all these locations, and hey, he's gonna bring this girl over here, and he's going, man, come on, man. He didn't do that shit alone. That's what I'm saying. So you ain't got them backing that them dudes got. And you see how they getting done out here for for fucking with some chicks. You know what I'm saying? R. Kelly, nah. R. Kelly was on some other shit, okay? You know what I mean? But when it come to Cosby and it come to Diddy, there was no minors involved in either of them cases. All right, I don't care about what the rumors say. You had them in court. You got them in jail. You had them in court and jail. They couldn't prove none of that minor stuff. So these is all consenting adults, man. They were all consenting adults, especially when they go back 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. He ain't violate you all them different times. What sane person in their right mind going to go back to a dude who violated you? And it ain't your boyfriend. This ain't your husband. This is just some guy that you deal with and whatever. He give you a little bit of money. You just a prostitute or whatever, or sugar daddy, whatever the situation is. You deal with him here and there. You don't have no ties to him, no kids with him, nothing. But you go back and go get violated by him all them different times. And then you don't say nothing for decades. And you come back later on when you broke. Nah, bro. Nah, man. This is how they getting us, bro. Be careful out here. Same chicks you dealing with right now in your 20s and your 30s and all that. And y'all just effing around, got a little situationship, whatever. That's your little sugar baby or whatever. You know what I mean? You pay her a little light bill or whatever. Go hit it every once in a while. Man, listen. When she broke and she done hit the wall and she's in her 50s and all that, and you up, you know what I'm saying? And you up at that point, right? You got, maybe you got some properties, you got a nice 401k, you got some broker accounts, and you living, and she effed up. Oh yeah, she might come back later on. Oh yeah, he did this, that, and the third to me back in 2022. You know what I mean? Back in 2015, he made me do A, B, and C, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it, and yeah, I felt real bad. And then the court's going to go, oh yeah, you got violated. All the lawyers, everybody, oh yeah, you got graped, even though that's not what it was. So I'm saying that to say, be careful out here. Better off dealing with some foreign women. You know what I mean? This ain't going to be one of them channels where I'm going to say, where you going to hear me and everything is Keisha bad, Keisha bad, Keisha bad, and then Becky's the answer. No, absolutely not. This is not what you're going to get on this channel. I'm not going to tell you Maria the answer. None of these American women are the answer. If they're on American soil and they speak English, they are not the answer. You need to go abroad. You need to learn other languages and go deal with some foreign women. Don't bring them back here, though. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring them back here. You know what I mean? So, moral of the story, man, is protect yourself, brothers. Did he try to protect himself the best he could? But he had issues. You know what I'm saying? He had some serious issues. First off, he had some type of power trip issue. You know what I mean? Where he felt like he was God on earth or something. And he had nothing but yes men around him, nobody to hold him accountable. That was an issue. The biggest issue he had was his drug addiction. All the different drugs, allegedly, that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the biggest problems he had. Because he could have left and got ghosts and never came back. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, Russell Simmons, right? Russell Simmons left the USA back in what, 2017, 2018, back when the rumors and allegations started surfacing about whatever he did back in the day, you know what I'm saying, when he ran Def Jam back in his heyday, whatever. You know, he dealt with a whole lot of different chicks, you know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, even his wife, Kimora Lee Simmons, there's some speculation there that he may have been dealing with her when she might have been underage, allegedly, okay? But I say that to say this. He left when the allegations first came up. He went over there. He established permanent residency in Bali in Indonesia, right? Back in February of this year, he got found not guilty of some kind of sexual assault, some SA violation, rape type of charge, based on the fact that the United States no longer had jurisdiction over him because he's a permanent resident of Indonesia now. You know what I'm saying? That's why he got found out guilty. They can't even prosecute him no more because he's over there all the time. This is what Diddy should have did, man. But first off, it would have been too late. You know what I mean? When the tape came out, if he'd have stayed over there, it may not have been good enough. They might have extradited him anyway. But he should have tried. But he couldn't because he had that drug addiction, and he couldn't get them drugs over there in Indonesia. That's why he came back over here, and ultimately, this is his fate now. So that was his problem, the power trip, the drugs, you know what I mean, the lack of accountability, man. That was Diddy's downfall. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a freaky sex. Yeah, that's some weird stuff too. But none of that was illegal, you know what I'm saying? None of that was illegal, what he did as far as the baby oil and whatever he did with them sex parties, bro. Before he threw sex parties, believe me, he was invited to sex parties by people that were his superiors, the people he learned it from, which were most likely some kind of white folks. All right? This is what we know, man. It was probably some white folks. And he said, you know what? Oh, I'm Diddy. I'm going to do it bigger. And he probably thought, he thought his money shielded him from racism, I guess. You know, you got a lot of dudes who believe racism don't exist. It's all about classism. And once they get a certain amount of money, they're not, they don't get subjected to racism no more. I think Slim Thug came out saying some dumb stuff like that. Slim Thug ain't nowhere near on the level Diddy is. You see what's going on with Diddy. Come on, man. So, moral of the story, brothers, man. Like I said before, man, you gotta leave these American women alone. You know what I'm saying? Travel, you know what I mean? Travel. Get up out this country, man, because this could be your fate one day. Looking like this in the courtroom. You know what I mean? Looking like that in the courtroom. Crying, looking like this. You know what I mean? Looking like that. You know? So I'm gonna let y'all go, man. Y'all have a good afternoon. Have a great weekend. Don't do nothing that could potentially come back and bite you in the ass years from now. You know what I mean? You got to be careful out here. You know what I mean? Y'all take it easy, man.